All right, I have the fuel tank ready to go in. Um, this unit, which sits in here, this has come out. Uh, I also took off the fuel drain. I've got the fuel tank hose and the clips. Don't forget those clips. Um, Ready to go on. And I've tapped to make sure that the threaded bolts, the threaded nuts are moving and also tapped out. So there's two of them. One's permanent and one actually floats. I've taken off that bracket, and you can actually do that with the rear suspension unit in place. So it'll be relatively straightforward to put that back on. So I'm trying to give myself the best chance to make this installation go easily. fuel tank is in, and it was everything of the experience that I was expecting it to be, but it's actually in. I learned a lot along the way. There are 3 bolts. There's one here, one here, and then a very difficult bolt to actually get to, which is actually back here. There is a knack on how to put the tank in, and it's best to watch the video. Couple of tips. These flanges here, you need to make sure that they're bent right out of the way, because if they're not bent out of the way, then they interfere with the actual trying to get the tank into the boot itself. The other thing, a couple of tips here. There are these bushes with a steel inner. You need to make sure that those are on the tank before you try and install it. Otherwise, that's you just don't have room to fit them afterwards. So, and they're nice and tight, so they actually stay on. So make sure that you do that. The other tip on this page is that bracket can actually be added nicely and easily after the tank is installed. There is a foam seal, which is this one here, that you want to have that on the spigot of the tank. And that's a little tricky because that has a tendency to want to come off as you're sliding the tank across. So be careful, but make sure that that is on. Again, you can't fit that after the tank is installed. I guess one small tip is once you do get the tank in place, roughly in place, slide this rubber down as soon as you can, as soon as you've got alignment. When the tank is all the way across, it's not quite in line, and that's a very short piece of rubber hose to twist then to get it onto that spigot. It's not impossible, but it would be preferable if it was connected just before you finalize that last ½ inch of movement across. So one big lesson, really big lesson learned, is that this diagram has actually got a bit of a cheat sheet to it. These hoses, these drain hose, this one here too, they have to be well out of the way of the tank. So this one shaped like that is actually realistic. You want that to be quite long, and don't make it short like I did. It then interferes with the tank, and obviously you can't see what's going on, but process of elimination says that the tank is butting up against this hose. Same with this other one. In the end, I actually made this one about 1 foot longer than the original cut that I showed on the previous video, and just to make sure it wraps back into the rear wing, I guess, the rear 3/4, well out of the way of the tank, and then the tank slides across relatively easily. So now I have it all tidied up. I've got my wiring in. Obviously the earthing strip is black, white is key on. This is the fuel pump sender to give you a full fuel gauge. I've connected all of the vent into the expansion tank, and I managed to get a Jaguar document on how to do that, a little PDF which worked out in my favor. I've connected up all of the hosing to and from the pump, so this is actually looking nice and clean. Yeah, not straightforward. The other big tip I would give you is that make sure you tap out all of the holes that are used to locate the tank, and make sure that those bolts run freely in them. Otherwise, it's just so hard to get them to start, and if you're struggling against an old thread, then that doesn't help at all. So Make sure that those are well tapped and clear. Signature step, really. Very good. Next thing up is the exhaust.